Elena Danaan is an archaeology graduate working in the field for more than 20 years, 8 of which she spent working in Egypt. She's also an alien contactee, and that's been since childhood. She was rescued from the Zeta Greys by Nordic aliens while in the process of being abducted and has kept contact with her protectors all her life, and she joins us now. Hi, Elena, how are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm fine. How are you?
Well, I thought we'd start. I mean, that's fascinating to think that you were rescued from one particular race of aliens by another race of aliens, the Zeta Greys. Can you explain what led to it and how it came about?
Well, I think they pretty much hate each other. The Zeta Greys are involved in programs of abductions with other races, and this was the Zeta Grey. They are small gray aliens, and they abduct people for mainly a genetic agenda, hybridization agenda. And the Nordics, there are different races of Nordics, and these ones were a crew of different humanoid from different places. They were a crew in a ship, and they boarded the Zeta Grey ship, and they rescued me. But they rescue lots of people. They do that a lot. They are totally against the practices of these Zeta Greys. So in fact, they have a name because Zeta Reticuli is the name we gave to the constellation where their world is. Their true name is Solipsirae. But we call them the Zeta Greys because everybody knows about them. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were abducted. So you were on the Zeta Grey ship, and they were about to conduct experiments, and then the Nordic aliens rode into the rescue.
Yeah, well, they actually started their experiments on me. I was 9 years old. I was a little girl, and they put an implant in my head, and they put something in my belly as well. And at the moment, just when they had finished putting this stuff, they were going to do other stuff. I don't know. They were touching other instruments. There was a big noise, and all the structure was trembling and vibrating, and there was like sounds of explosions or something like that, and voices of men. There was a door and voices of men shouting behind this door. And in fact, I was in a room. It was very cold, and I was paralyzed on this narrow metallic table, and they were all around me. So there was one who was what I can get. He was one Zeta Grey. He was like a real Zeta Grey, a real person, and the other ones, there were, I think, 4. They were like clones or synthetic lives, but they were looking like Zeta Greys, but they were like, I suppose, helpers or like that. So yeah, and the door exploded, and the 2 men in spacesuit came in. I couldn't see their faces first because they had helmets. And it was, I was terrified. I was not only terrified and traumatized by what I was going through, but then this happened. So it was even more terrifying because I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. So the Grey, which was the leader, I suppose, was start to not to shout, to communicate with the other ones, because they seem to communicate by telepathy, but he then made sounds like he was panicked, like the insects, if you put a microphone to insects and you turn up the volume, kind of sound crackling a bit,
like a vibration.
No, it's difficult to say, like insects.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to say that. So if I can speak easily about it, it's because I've done hypnosis to complete my memory, and hypnosis, quantum hypnosis actually has
Yep.
helped me really to be able to talk about it. Otherwise, I would break in tears.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, these two men came in, and one of them, they shoot at them. They had oblong tools, like it was like laser gun.
Mm-hmm.
It was oblong tools, and he was shooting at laser rays, and they totally obliterated the workers once, I suppose. And the one who was real individual, one of the men, he caught him by the neck and he strangled him.
Wow.
So yeah, and that shocked me, because that's a horrible thing to see. These Zeta Greys, they are very frightening looking. Someone strangling one of them and you see it under your eyes, it's even uglier and more scarier, because it's violent, it's terrifying, and the violence increases, and it's really terrifying. Anyway, so they untied me. I had my wrists and my ankles tied up with straps, so they removed it, and one of them took me in his arms, and I couldn't move. I could see, but I couldn't move. My nervous system was totally neutralized, and they took me quickly out of this room, and then I felt like dizzy, because there was a big light, like if we were teleported on another ship.
Right.
And suddenly the atmosphere was totally different. It was very warm, well, way warmer. That's the first thing that came into my mind when, and this I did remember this by the hypnosis sessions. When they took me in this other ship, it was, the first impression was, oh my God, it's warm. And suddenly I relaxed, and I was still very frightened, because I could understand they were good because they rescued me, but it was so much panic and adrenaline, and
Yeah.
they laid me down on another table that seemed to lift from the floor, and the ship was very light, bright. There were two other men, blonde men. There were, in fact, three blonde men and a blonde woman. And the woman, I remember she had a cloth and she cleansed me, because there was blood running out of my legs,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I saw from the corner of my vision that she was cleaning me. And then the guy who had rescued me, who had taken me, brought me in his arms. He removed the jacket of his spacesuit and he put it on me once I was clean. And it was so warm that I suddenly relaxed and fell asleep. And the woman as well, at the same time, she put I remember her hands on my shoulders. She was very, very kind, very, very nice with me. And I looked into her eyes. She was a little bit different from them. She had a triangular face with
Mm-hmm.
very wide green eyes and straight blonde hair. It was a little bit smaller than them. You could see it was a different race. And I saw her face, and she was all calming down, and I fell asleep. And I woke up again. She was doing something in my head, and I couldn't see. I knew she was behind me. She was doing something in my head. So under hypnosis, quantum hypnosis is a fantastic method that you can see your memories like above your body,
Mm-hmm.
and see around what's going on. So I saw her trafficking into my head, and she was trying to remove the implant.
Oh, okay.
And she seemed to struggle. And the guy who had rescued me, which seemed to be chief or captain of them, I don't know. He was speaking telepathically with her. Like I could see they were communicating, changing expressions on their faces because there was something going on between them. And he was like pressing her to do something, and she became very nervous. And then he started to speak to her in a language that I couldn't understand. And that was very, very interesting because I couldn't understand their language at first. And so he was asking her to do something she didn't want to, but then they were starting to argue, and she obeyed to him. And she took different instruments, and she did something different on the top of my head. I could go in more details, but that's a long story.
Yeah.
And in fact, she retuned the implant because she couldn't remove it because it was put in a way in my brain that it would have been very tricky to remove it. So she retuned it to their frequencies. She jammed it and she retuned it to their frequencies. And then I start to understand them talking.
Wow. Okay.
At that moment.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask, the Nordics, are the Nordics, do they look like us, or they have different features?
They have slightly different features. I know the ones were in this ship. The woman, she was from the Sirius B system. 2 guys were from the Pleiades, and 1 guy was from Epsilon Eridani. So they were all blonde, all humanoids, but different features. The woman, she had this triangular face, and she was smaller, tinier. The 2 guys from the Pleiades, they were very, very like us, but a little bit tougher and bigger, and their eyes were different. Their eyes were bigger, wider, with bigger pupils. And the other one from Epsilon Eridani was like us, but his eyes were like a bit bigger as well, but it was a bit red in it.
Yeah. The Zeta Greys, do you know whether they abduct people on behalf of another race or other races? Are they actually working for themselves or working for others?
I think they're working for others. It's the whole community. It seems to have a hierarchy. You have tall greys above them, which are really, really nasty race. There are different purposes. There are different groups. I know there is a part of small greys, and I think that's the ones who abducted me. They are working for or/with these tall greys, which have a hybridization agenda. I know there are insectoids as well, but I never got to be in contact with insectoids. Mantis, you know, I know they exist and they work as well with them. They kind of the scientists. But I never get to meet them. I'm happy with that because they look frightening.
Okay. Well, I want to talk to you about the different races that are out there that you've been told about. But firstly, on the abduction front, so how prevalent then is alien abduction on this planet? How common is it?
Oh my God, that's a lot. There are different groups doing it, and it's a lot of people. I don't know the numbers, but many 100,000s. I don't know. They do that every night. They do that at night because it's easier to abduct people when they sleep and nobody watches. There are different groups, so I know because you know I kept contact with these Nordics who saved me, and so I learned stuff, and they took me different times as well again in my life. So I know stuff, and so yeah, there are these tall greys. So of what I know, there are two groups, which is the Orion Grey Collective, which are all different races of greys. To know that the greys usually they have a reptilian nature. They don't look like reptiles, but have cold blood nature. These ones are super nasty. The Orion Alliance is something nasty. They work at hybridization programs. They like to assimilate races and other races of greys they find which are pacifist, and they terrorize them and they assimilate them. They produce a lot of clones and synthetic life forms looking like them. So you never know when you're abducted who you are dealing with. Are they just robots, or are they just actually beings you can try to communicate with? You don't, it's very difficult. There are so many. I've heard there are more than 160 different races of greys.
Wow.
And all sizes. So in this collective, you have a collective, you have a race named, well, it's based in Orion, but they're not all from Orion.
Yeah.
You have the Mitra. Mitra are nasty tall greys, and they really hate us. They took us like cattle. And there's as well the Keely Tokert. They have these triangular black ships. They do abductions a lot, and they do hybrids a lot. So, and then the Solipsirae, and there's so many. So that's the Orion Collective. And then you have the Reptilian collective, the Reptiloids. And these come from another place. We call it alpha, not Alpha Draconis, but the different Delta Draconis as well. It's Draconis zone because the constellations, we give the name to the constellations. They do not call their place like this. And their place is Tuban, and it has other names as well. And so these ones work mainly, do abductions mainly for food because they eat us, and slave trade as well, a workforce. Mainly they take a lot of people and they take them off world to many different places. They work these ones with some governments, especially the American government. Everything that was involved in the underground bases, it was mainly involved with these reptilians who call themselves Sikar and Naga. Greys as well, but mainly reptilians, and there are agreements, and it's very complicated. There's many different agreements, but you know, we've been binded by stupid agreements. Once you agree for something, you're doomed. In the past, they've traded with us to abduct people in exchange of technology, which they never really gave totally.
Yeah. So you're saying that they've formed agreements and alliances with our governments?
Yes. The agreement to abduct people, but at the start it was just a little amount of people, but they overpassed this agreement very largely.
Yeah. I've often heard abductees and ones I've interviewed say that when they're on a table and they're describing the aliens around them, and there are different types, they always seem to identify a human dressed in a military outfit.
Yes, that's when you are taking underground bases. And humans are mainly militaries. Well, I'm speaking about US militaries. All these underground bases, you have the most famous is Dulce, I don't know how to say in English.
In yeah.
Dulce, yeah. For instance, that's the most known. You have different levels, and they take abductees in there, never to be seen again. There are hybridization programs, and especially horrendous genetic experiments. It is absolutely terrible what's going on in these places. Well, it's been at the moment cleansed and liberated, but it's been going on for a very long time. Yeah, I know many abductees have these memories of being taken, and they see humans in uniforms, especially a guy in uniform, and that doesn't match. It's weird. And in fact, they are taken in underground military bases because they are not. They abduct so many people. Uh, they're not all taken on a ship. There are facilities for aliens underground everywhere on Earth with tunnels with high-speed trains to connect everybody. Yeah.
You've in your book, A Gift from the Stars, you list these bases and their location. Do you get any pushback doing that? Do you put yourself in any danger or under any threat?
Yeah. It's been very stressing. I've had problems. I've written this book in 4 months. I've been channeling a lot and contacted by my friends, and they were pushing me, and it was very, very hard, very tiring for me because they were urging day and night, and it was very difficult. And many times I've had missed accidents, and one day my computer, I changed computer because it crashed because I was in the middle of writing, and suddenly I felt the connection with one of my friends channeling the person, and I said, save it and close everything. And oh my God, I managed to save the work. And at the moment, I just clicked save. I sent the work by email to myself. And as I clicked, it was quick enough. Everything on my screen, my manuscript turned into, the 1 and 0 codes, 1 0 1 0 1 0 1 0. Everything was, somebody was translating everything in this code. I don't know how it's called. And it's
binary code.
Binary code, that's it. And I went, what's happening? And all my manuscript was just scrolling. I wasn't touching anything. I didn't care because it was saved, and it was switching into binary code, and like if somebody was retrieving the data. It was very scary. And then my computer crashed, dead forever. So that was one scary thing that happened to me. And I was as well abducted as well by reptilians. That was a very scary moment. It happened during the night.
Was this because of the information you were releasing?
Yeah, trying to intimidate me. I got marks on my body. I took photo. I put a photo in the book. It's like, oh my gosh! And I was saved by my friends again, because I would have never come back. In fact, yes, I was beamed into this ship, and this was a shapeshifter because they shapeshift. So the reptilians, so they can take the shape of Nordics. So many people, sometimes they think they're abducted by Nordics, but there's something wrong. It's a feeling, gut feeling, and it ends up bad because they shapeshift to put you in trust, and that's easier task.
Yeah.
So I was with a Nordic I never seen before, and something was wrong, and he was putting me in trust. And because I have still this implant in my head, so it reacts with overload of emotion. So if I stayed in quiet and peaceful emotion, my friends would never get a signal that I'm in danger. So I was in this reptilian ship, and it was very cold, and that's something that weird, cold, that reminds me not good. But anyway, and he was, oh, I'm a friend. He was saying to me, I'm a friend of your friends. He named him, and it asked me to make you a visit of this ship. It's a mothership. Okay, right. And I saw in a room by a kind of a glass window, small greys sat there. There was like benches, and they were listening to someone I couldn't see, like listening to somebody who was telling them something. And he said, oh no, they're taking orders. Okay, but that's why are small greys in there? And then he said, no, it's just, don't worry, it's just nothing. And then he said, come on, I'm going to show you this room then. And the door opened, and there was a table with small greys there, and they were preparing something. And I went, wow. And I suddenly switched on, and I thought very strongly to my friend, and the guy, and I ran away. There was a corridor, and I ran, and the guy caught me up. And at the moment he caught me up, I'm still shaking telling that. We were beamed down out of the ship, down in the grass in the field at night. It was cold. Fortunately, it was summer because I was in nightgown. And I fell on my left side and hurt my shoulder. And the guy at that moment, it happened very fast. The guy ran away. I saw him running away. And as he ran away, he shape-shifted into reptilian.
Right.
And two of my friends beamed as well. And one ran after him. I think he got him. And the other one just went over me, and he went, that's going to be right. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Don't worry. We are bringing you home. We're bringing you home. And he took me in his arms. And they have these things sometimes. They can put a hand on my head, and I lost consciousness. They do that the Nordics to me to calm me down.
Yeah.
And I was back in my bed, and I woke up, and my left shoulder hurt, and I had blades of grass all along my left leg and my foot and on the bed. And I had, oh yes, and I received a laser beam in my leg because the reptilian shot back, and I received it in my leg, and I had a super big round bruise. And I got up. I went in the bathroom to look better, and my mother was standing in the middle of the corridor, and she said to me, she was shaking, she said, have you seen the blue light? That was like a flash of light that illuminated the whole house. Things like that.
Yeah. So with our governments involved then in these abductions with these particular races, and with what's happened in the last 2 or 3 years with bits of information being released by the Pentagon, and we saw the Tic Tac videos, and everybody's now talking about imminent disclosure. But if our governments are working hand in hand with, say, the Greys and the Reptilians, I mean, there will be no disclosure.
That's comedy, because they can't really tell that they're working hand in hand with them, that they made agreements. Imagine if they would reveal that they made agreements to abduct people and to torture and do genetic experiments and sell abductees to slave trade and stuff. That'd be a serious problem. The government is never ever going to reveal that.
So you think they're just releasing little pieces of information just maybe to keep the masses happy?
Yes. And to slowly as well bring it up, because then they don't know what's going to happen. You know, people are waking up.
Yeah. Why do the Nordics dislike what the Greys do?
Because they are enemies since a long time before Earth was their concern. They are part, these humanoids, these Nordic humanoids, are part of a kind of a federation um, who tries to maintain peace in the galaxy and maintain, help people, population to get their to get their rights, you know, to
Hmm.
protect them, and they do not like these despicable practices, so they try to get it stopped, and so it's very difficult. They are at war against each other, and they try to rescue as much people as they can. They absolutely don't like each other because you know, the Nordics, they don't agree with these practices.
Are the Nordics a more powerful race than the Greys?
They're spiritually and technologically more advanced, but they are less numerous. The Grey Alliance and the Reptilian Empire, they are so numerous, so big, so powerful military, that the Nordics, they don't want, their federation, they don't want to engage war too much with them, because it happened by the past and they were hammered by number, and that they try to do it differently. That's what I heard. They're not really into open combat. It's bit.
Yeah. So how many races are there out there in the universe?
Oh my God, I don't know the number. It's so many. It's absolutely incredible. I would say astronomical number. Um, there's so many. I know there are 57 races active with in good and bad with our planet, but I have been shown 110 races involved, from near or from far, to our affairs to
Yeah.
with Earth. Yeah.
How many? How many races then would be looking after our our welfare here? You know, would be looking out for us. You know, wouldn't be our enemies.
Mm.
Who's the most prominent?
Um, I think that's 50-50. I would say it's 50-50, but the more, maybe I'd say 60 the good one and good ones, and 40 the bad ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would be the strongest race out there, like the most powerful?
In good, in for the benevolence, I said the humanoid race that we call Nordics, they call themselves Ahel. They are in different worlds. They are mostly known to be from the Pleiades, but they are everywhere as well. These ones, technologically, I'm speaking. Then
Mm-hmm.
spiritually, um, they are more. There are more advanced races. So these, mostly the ones from the Pleiades, are the ones who are technologically quite advanced. In the other way, the bad ones, I'd say the Keely Tokert, the tall whites, as we call them, are quite advanced in technology. That would be the ones I would name the more advanced. Yes. Yeah.
And are they bad or are they good?
Yes. Yes. No, they're bad. The Keely Tokert, they are tall gray race, but they are very white. They're white
Right.
skin,
Right.
so they are called as well the tall whites. Tall whites is a name we put to different races, but these ones are really tall whites.
Hmm.
They have big black eyes. These ones conduct hybridization agendas.
Right.
They have the black triangles. So there's something with these black triangle sheep. There are two types of black triangle sheep. The Keely Toker, they come from constellation Vela. They have these, that sheep are very big, black, jet black, and they can cloak, and they're silent. They have pointy ends. This is different from the American triangle
Mm-hmm.
sheep.
Like the one that was seen over Phoenix, 1997.
Yes, these ones have round angles, smaller. They have a big, they have big airlock under it, and the Kilitokers, no, they have a small one. So the American one, so silvery, not black, round, triangle, but with slightly round angles, and they make noise. The Kilitokers are totally silent, and they can cloak. They have a special technique of cloaking by reflecting under what's above. I don't know the details how it works, but that's what they do.
Yeah, I've a couple of times that I've posted non-complimentary articles about the Greys or the evil Greys. I've received a good degree of pushback from people who want to defend them, but I'm talking
They are
about.
good Greys. They are good Greys.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask. I mean, and so all Greys aren't bad.
No. I have contact with a Grey, which is of a very beautiful, spiritual, and loving race. His race is named Egaroth. So that's another subject that I may speak now. Maybe interesting in a different way. It's different type of abductions. You have 3 types of abductions. You have abductions that the reptilians do for food and slave trade. And you have the abductions that the Grey do for genetic agendas, knowing that they also work together. 2 types. Then the 3rd type, this is performed by mainly a race of races. There are many tall Greys, which are very, very nice and spiritually advanced. I'm going to tell about them. Humanoids, Nordics, and as well humanoids with blue skin. These ones comes from constellation Bootes. Anyway, these ones, including these tall Greys, perform abductions to as well for genetic program, which is the alteration of the human DNA throughout generations. So they pick up bloodlines which have a certain type of blood, like my bloodlines that happened to me as well. I am a bloodline of psychics. My maternal bloodlines, it goes back to Norse shamans and psychic people, and I have still this shamanic abilities. That's why I can do all these things as well easily. So they take these bloodlines and they are going to insert their either their genetic input in this bloodline, or either either activate codons of the DNA, because we don't use all our DNA codons that are like 60 something, and we use like 20 something. So why they do that? To modify human species, certain bloodlines, because they want to help. They are part of this federation of benevolent races. They want to help us, for instance. They don't do that only for Earth, but they want to help us to get out of the reach of the other ones who are abducting and doing all this horrible stuff. A way that they found is to elevate our frequency, elevate our energy field in a frequency that we become invisible or uncatchable for them.
Okay.
But as well to prepare our body to be as well able to receive some souls from their species. That's as well a program they have.
Right. One of the articles that I put together and the information I was given was that the evil Greys are particularly fascinated with the human soul, and I guess I titled it, the harvesting of souls. And I mean, I found that really fascinating. I mean, I hadn't heard that before, but it seemed to make sense.
Yeah, they practice something that is called soul scalping, to scrape a soul from a body. So what's interesting is that, we have these avatars of flesh. That's how my friend explained that to me. These bodies are just temporary avatars that allow our soul to come and do a job or learn something, whatever. But in fact, our soul, our true being, is a being of a higher frequency that comes and inhabits a body of flesh. We are not all aware of the power we have. So many races of Greys and Reptilians are of a lower frequency. I'm speaking about the frequency of the energy field.
Yeah.
So our soul of a higher frequency fascinates them because they like to study it and to know how to learn how to elevate themselves to this frequency, to keep on as well abducting us and using us, assimilating us. They do as well. Yes, they do soul scalping as well. It's done. I don't know exactly the process, but I know it's done under intense pain and torture, with injections of mercury in the body, and I know it's done like that in mainly underground bases on Earth. They do that anyway. So maybe go out of your questions.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So,
You know.
just on the subject of soul, so we're really a being of high frequency. Have you been told, say, by your Nordic friends, you know, where we actually originate from?
Yeah, different types. They told me that each planet has different layers, like an onion, you know, and in inter you know, one in the other. It's different densities, and so each planet has a soul matrix, a matrix where the souls we belong to a world, because our soul just evolved from microorganism to plants and, you know, reincarnation stuff, and we develop, and we are part of a planet, a ground, a matrix, and but sometimes we can decide to incarnate to another matrix because we want to experience something else, or we want to go and help these people because we know we can help, and we get brownie points or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
So we can either, normally we all come from the Earth soul matrix, but there can be on Earth people who are from other worlds, other planets, soul matrices as well, and we can go incarnate somewhere else at the moment we've reached a certain stage of evolution.
Okay. Okay. How long have alien races been coming to Earth?
Oh my God, maybe 100,000, maybe something like that, very, very long time ago. There was so many waves of invasions and colonies, and at a stage there were different colonies living together on Earth, and there are legends of gods living here or there and fighting each other, and it's very interesting. I've been told of the Anunnakis that they were real, and they are gone now. They are not interacting with us. It's like you can forget about them. But they were at a stage one of the first to come, reptilians as well, but Anunnakis as well, which are a type of Greys, reptilian Greys. But in their language, Anunnakini means human-like, Greys who look like humans. So, and they have a reptilian nature. So they came, and they found that it was these hominids, these like half ape, half human. We were,
Very primitive.
primitive, and they went, oh great, we're gonna play with that. That can do great ground for experiments and slaves, and we can take them and do hybridization and create clones and stuff. So they started experimenting, and they were the first to experiment to modify our human genome, and they were real, but they were stopped because other races came and they said, wait a minute, what you're doing is not right with these creatures, so you're going to stop that. No, and they fought, and there was fights, and yeah.
So the Anunnaki didn't really have good intentions?
Not really, no.
Okay.
No, they were just playing with us. Yeah, that's what I've been told.
I mean, it's fascinating listening to you describe all this, because I mean, I'm a very spiritual person, I'm a very strong Christian, and I just keep thinking about the Bible when you talk about this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously a connection there.
Yes, you know, the Bible is a record of the ancient history that has been taken at a different level. Like, you must read the Bible with a very open mind, because it tells you all these things, and you have to read it with thinking not to stick to the letter, to the words, that it tells a story. And you know, the Bible has been rewritten by different people, and the copy we have now may be a little far from the first text. But yes, it's a very interesting book, and you have to decrypt it, because it tells you about everything, but a lot of things anyway.
What about before Adam and Eve? I mean, have there been other civilizations on this planet?
Yes. There were waves of civilizations. I've been told too, that the Earth just there was cataclysm twice that wiped out everything. Yes, civilizations grow, collapse, and regrow again. It's cyclic. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So if you could name one race that has been, you know, there for us, you know, when we've got into trouble, and has always been there to help us, which race would it be?
The Lyrans. The Lyrans are the Pleiadians. I use the names that we know best, but they call themselves man, the man races, and especially the Ahel, the blonde ones. They've always looked out for us, and as well these people from the constellation Bootis, with blue skin as well. These ones, they use tall humanoids. Oh yes, I will say the one race, Lyrans.
Lyrans.
Lyrans. It includes the Pleiades, because they're Lyrans, colon.
Lyrans with a capital L.
Capital Lyran. It's from the constellation Lyra. In fact, we call them like this. They do not call themselves like this. They call themselves the Man, MAN. And they come from star systems. They call it Mana, but I may be wrong. There's so many data. And yes, it's Kepler 62.
Right.
System.
What about a race that I keep hearing about that is very benevolent towards Earth is the Arcturians?
Yeah, that's the people from Bootis.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the Ohorans. They call themselves Ohorans. They are tall humanoids with blue skins, and they come from star system Arcturus. Yes.
Yeah.
In the constellation Bootis. Yes, that's them.
Yeah, they're a very, very spiritually developed race.
Yes. They've been looking after us since a very long time. They are part of the experiments, abducting people to help us develop rise our frequency the fastest as possible, and to be free.
Elena, it's been I could keep talking with you for hours, but
I know.
People who want to know more, I mean, your book is A Gift from the Stars, and it's the book of alien races, and it's pretty new, but it's not available on Amazon.
Yes, that's it. It's available on Amazon
Oh, it
since
is available on Amazon.
yesterday in Kindle and paperback.
Oh,
I
okay.
would,
I
yeah,
looked 2 days ago.
Barnes and Nobles,
Hmm.
and paperback is actually available since today on Amazon. So I will recommend the paperback version because I have the drawings. I've done the drawings myself
Yep.
because I'm an artist as well, and they've showed me, they sent me visions of all the races they were describing to me. So I drew them all, and there are 110 drawings, and the paperback is quite
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, I mean, I've read the review. I mean, I haven't read a bad review. I mean, the reviews are amazing, and all I can say is congratulations for
Thank you
finally
very much.
getting the book out. But just a couple of final questions. So, do the ETs have a message for humanity?
Yes, keep hope and do not fear. Fear is the weapon of those who want to assimilate and submit us. Do not fear. Do not give to fear, and embrace the awareness that you are all powerful. They are more powerful than you are told you are. That is the message that we all told. Raise your frequency, keep your frequency high. How? By finding peace within yourself, keeping fear at bay, refusing fear, laughing at fear.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the main thing. And the second message is very important. We need to federate. The true enemy is not our brothers of the same species because it has a different culture, different color. Our true enemy, our true enemy is those who work at manipulating us to divide and conquer.
Mm-hmm. And that's happening
These
right now.
are the true enemy. They want us to fight against each other by manipulating us. It is very easy to manipulate minorities. So easy.
Mm.
Unite. I hear that a lot. They say unite together. It is only when you will have all federated that you will be able to join our galactic community.
Yeah.
Federate in peace. The true enemy is the one who wants to divide us.
Yeah, and that divided world is happening right now,
Yes.
right around the planet. And
Yes. And they wish people will wake up and stop fighting each other. Just wake up, unite, and anything that is anxiety, anxiogenic, I don't know how you say, anxiety, fear, threatening is wrong.
mm-hmm.
That comes from something that wants to submit you.
Yeah, yeah, it's not a free will.
No, no. So
That's what we were born with.
yes, we are born with free will. We are born with power. We are very powerful, and we are using only a small percent of our power.
Mm-hmm. And you've just answered my my last question. Are we being directed to evolve to a certain point? So I guess that would be it. Elena, thanks very much for your time. As I said, a fascinating discussion, and I hope to be talking with you again at some stage.
I'm very glad I'm able to share that with me. Like I've delivered the baby to the world, and now I feel really relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it helps. Hope it helps, and especially the abductees who will understand who does that and why.
Yep. Elena Danaan speaking with us today, and a book is A Gift from the Stars, available on Amazon and from Barnes and Noble.